All right, it's time for our favorite section. Well, no, all the sections are equal in our eyes, but one of our favorite sections of the show, which is our pop cult recommendations. Okay, Andor, the new Star Wars show. It's funny, we were just talking about the Superman trailer and fan reaction and toxicity online. And you made a great point that when a product is good, there's very little space online for that kind of toxicity, you know, that weird stuff that happens when people start attacking actors.
Yeah, I mean, those people are just lunatics. The people who give death threats to characters like Joffrey from Game of Thrones who they don't like, they are unhinged.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Star Wars fandom is filled with such people. And the Disney Corporation is quick to, even when there's very valid criticism of the stuff that they've made in the past few years, they tend to want to dismiss that and be like, oh, it's just toxic fans being racist and misogynist. Yeah. They don't want to see women on screen. They don't want to see different races on screen.
They've been doing it since the remake trilogy, since, what's it called? Force Awakens, sorry.
The Force Awakens was episode 7, yes, and with Rey especially, you know, they really pushed the female Jedi character.
Yeah. That kickoff. Well, I mean, I suppose you could say that was the beginning of Disney Star Wars. They've been doing it since Disney Star Wars. They've been covering up their criticisms with all this nonsense.
Absolutely. And sometimes you feel like they even do it on purpose. Like the Kenobi TV show has this very prominent villain character who's like an inquisitor for the Empire, and he's played by this very talented black woman. I think her name is Moses Ingram. She was in The Queen's Gambit. Yes. And her character sucks. Is one of the worst characters. She's just awful.
And it's so obvious that she's going to become the misunderstood hero in that show.
And people were rightfully, critical of the inclusion of this character who plays a major role in the story and has this weirdly out of place redemption arc and takes screen time from characters that we care about more, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the titular character, or even Leia. And people had stuff to say, and Disney was quick to say, oh, it's just misogynist and racist and people who do not understand that we want to put women in Star Wars. And I find that so frustrating, and I do not understand how people can really think these things. But here comes a show with an incredibly diverse cast, an incredibly interesting array of characters, female characters as well. They are so well fleshed out and interesting and complex and strong, mind you. And no one is saying anything about that. Everyone who's watching Andor is just enjoying Andor because it's a good show.
Did the racists, the homophobes, and all the sexists, they just having a week off, are they? They're all on holiday now.
Yeah, they're not watching it, I guess. It's so, oh man. I didn't want to start my rambling on Andor like this, but I felt like it was appropriate because...
No, I think it's interesting because, like you said, I haven't heard any of that. People, all the talk, it's obviously not lots of talk around Andor because it's not the most popular of shows.
Unfortunately, no.
But all of it's very positive that I see the conversation around it because I imagine it's just a well-written, well-executed story. So
it's breathtaking, man. Andor has no right to be as good as it is. I have chills now while I'm gathering my thoughts so I can try to sell you on this and pitch you this show. And I know that from the outside looking in, this must sound really weird. Disney Star Wars is, to put it very, very mildly, it's a mixed bag. And to put it a bit more harshly, it's a complete train wreck. They've done some decent stuff with animation, I guess, in the past few years. Rogue One was decent. I liked The Force Awakens when it came out. I even enjoy parts of The Last Jedi, but I think from episode 9 onwards, they've just lost track of what makes Star Wars great, and all the TV show stuff that they've put out outside of maybe Mandalorian season 1 has been this cheap excuse to bring back characters and play on nostalgia. And like, okay, so I'm a huge Star Wars fan, as you know. And I would never tell you, oh, you should watch Ahsoka. Ahsoka season 2 is coming out soon, so you should definitely check the first season out. I enjoyed parts of Ahsoka, but I understand that something like Ahsoka is completely inaccessible to people who are not deeply knowledgeable about Star Wars and Star Wars lore. You know, I've watched the fucking animated TV shows. I know who Ahsoka is, and I like her as a character. I didn't need this TV show because it's just fan fiction from a weird guy that likes wolves for some reason, but it has some good stuff in it. But I would never recommend it to you because it's not interesting for someone who's not a fan of Star Wars. All that it does is use this Star Wars iconography and bring back characters and try to play on those elements in a very cheap and melodramatic and obvious way.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because Disney Star Wars is mostly that, unfortunately. It's just nostalgia. It's just even the idea of this new Mandalorian and Grogu movie bothers me because I'm like, yes, it was a fun, interesting TV show, but now since this Baby Yoda character is so popular, you're making a movie about him. I don't know if that's gonna be interesting, to be honest.
Yeah, and you'll probably have Pedro Pascal never wears the helmet in the movie version.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying this because I don't want to come across as just like a Star Wars enjoyer who loves everything equally. I do not. I hated the Kenobi show. I didn't like Ahsoka that much. I enjoyed Skeleton Crew, which is the latest live action show that they released. No one watched that. It's just me, but it was a decent little show. And I hated The Acolyte so much. So, you know, like when I tell you that this show is not just one of the best Star Wars things that I've ever seen.
Yeah, you're not comparing it to those, are you?
I am telling you, this show is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen in my life. Period. Removing it from Star Wars.
Damn, yeah, high praise.
I know, this is insane. And if you asked me, like, 4 years ago, before season 1 came out, what I thought about them making an Andor TV show, but what? That character that died in that movie 5 years ago, and okay, I guess I'll check it out because I'm a Star Wars nerd, but I would not, like, maybe it's that, maybe it's the expectations being so low, but no, because this show, Tony Gilroy is the showrunner, he's great. He came in to Rogue One, which is like the first spin-off movie that they made between episode 7 and episode 8, the prequel to A New Hope, basically, when they find the plans for the Death Star. And Andor is basically a prequel to the prequel, and you're like, do we really need that? I would have told you, no, probably we don't need that a few years ago, but now I'm like, yes, please, more of this. This is incredible, man. It's like the most poignant story. The performances are all on point. There's insane attention to detail. The way they've created cultures with believable rituals and languages and traditions, and they intertwine them within the story of the Empire raising in power and people realizing, no, we need to do something. We need to rebel. We need to find a way to stop this dictatorship, basically. It's incredible. And you see the rebellion rising and the Empire, and you see both sides, and you have characters on both sides that are mirrors of each other, and it works so well in telling this political intrigue story, this spy story. It's a little bit of James Bond. It's a little bit of Bourne. There's so much that they took inspiration from real life historical events of World War I and World War II. There's this, without going into too many spoilers, but like in the second season, there's this arc concerning the Empire trying to get their hands on this very valuable mineral that they need to do things. And this mineral is in the substrate of this planet. And the whole arc revolves around the Empire trying to discredit the people living on this planet, the Gorman, in the eyes of the other planets in the Empire. So basically they do propaganda. They use their media to attack these people and try to make them look like they do not fit in within the Empire. So you see them and they created this parallel. They look kind of like, they sound, even the language that they created for them sounds kind of like French. The way they dress, the way the city looks, it's kind of like a little bit of French resistance during World War II. Feels like it's like a bit of a mixture of Italian and German and French culture around the period of partisan war. And it's so well done. This political intrigue aspect is so well fleshed out, and it doesn't feel like... Okay, so there's so many people saying that Andor is not Star Wars because it doesn't feel like Star Wars.
That's probably a good thing.
I disagree with this statement. I feel like it's just cosmetically maybe it doesn't look or feel like Star Wars because there's not that many aliens around, even though people criticized the first season for not having enough aliens. So in the second one, there's a bunch of aliens all over the place.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say that always annoys me when we're in a space thing and everyone's just a human.
Yeah. No, but because the story they try to tell, there's not that much space for that part, and also the Empire is racist, so they don't have aliens in the Empire's rank, so it makes sense.
Okay,
but yeah, people who say that this doesn't feel or look like Star Wars, I disagree, because this is Star Wars through and through in the themes it chooses to tackle, in the stories it wants to tell. It is perfectly connected to the original trilogy by George Lucas in themes, and it even continues the political intrigue storyline aspect that Lucas attempted in the prequels. You know, prequels are not amazing movies, but Lucas was clearly trying there to convey this idea that war, like Star Wars, wars have politics in them, and so we should see how these politics work. And Andor does exactly that. You see the side of the rebellion growing and becoming this thing that can actually do something against the Empire, and you see the Empire trying to hold on to power, but power cannot stay in this state for long because it's such a natural state of things. You know, like you can't force people to be a certain way. I don't know, man. When you watch this show and you compared it to everything else that Disney Star Wars has done, it feels like everyone else is not even trying. And it feels like maybe I am saying things to you that like should be obvious, you know, like that a TV show has themes and that a TV show has great production value and that it should be something that we would expect, especially from high profile franchises like Star Wars and Disney being behind it, you know, like with all the money in the world to do something this good. But it's not. This is exceptional. This level of attention to every single thing and the sets and the characters and the costumes and how everything connects and makes sense. Even just like yesterday I was watching the last 3 episodes because the second season, well, the whole show, it's structured in a way where like it's made up of little 3 episode or 4 episode arcs. So like the story keeps going at a very like fast pace. And the second season, I think their original plan was to make 5 seasons, and then I guess they either changed their mind or Tony Gilroy said he wanted to make 2 seasons all along, but I think they announced 5 seasons at first. So it's either a budgetary constraint or something like that, but they decided to cram the story of those 4 extra seasons into this one. So basically like this 12 episode series has 4 3-episode arcs that are set 1 year apart, and so it's basically just like 4 3-hour Star Wars movies that like start and end and lead into the next one, and it just ramps up in tension like throughout each episode. It's insane how well crafted it is, and there's a few blemishes, you know, unfortunately, because of the nature of this season happening across 4 years. There's some connective tissue lacking that could have been fleshed out more, but what's there, it's amazing. And I was absolutely in awe throughout this experience. Like it's such a shame that they released it in like over 4 weeks, like 3 episodes a week.
Yeah.
So it came and went so quickly. And I'm grateful for that because I could have not waited between 2 episodes next week to watch the new one. But it actually works because if you think about it, Star Wars has always been about dropping you in a story that's already happening. Like if you look at New Hope, when you start, you don't know anything. There's an empire, there's a rebellion, there's this guy in a black mask, but you need to learn what the world is like to really understand the story. And like here is the same. It's like every little arc in the show is dropping you in a new adventure that Andor or someone else is going on. And it's exceptional. I think the way they've done it is truly remarkable. And it's something that I would recommend to anyone, even people who do not particularly care for Star Wars, because the Star Wars stuff is actually what's holding it back sometimes, while they are telling this very compelling story about rebellion. It's never preachy. It's so elegant, like the ending as well. Like it's so mature and, oh man, I could talk about this for hours. I'm sorry, but It's so well done.
Is it something you have to... Is it direct continuation from season 1? Do you need the context of season 1 to see season 2?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's a very complex story, and it becomes more complex as you go. And again, with the problem, the fact that they had to cram so much story in this second season, there's stuff that they gloss over. It's just kind of implied that happened off screen. So you'd really need the context of season 1 to kind of like flesh out some of these elements that unfortunately were left on the cutting room floor, I'm guessing. It's perfect, man. It's the closest thing to perfection that I've seen in a very long time.
Damn.
It's heartfelt. It's powerful. There's a character arc for this guy that I'm not gonna spoil, but like this guy that starts off and you're like, oh, who's this asshole? And for the first few episodes, you're like, oh yeah, I don't like this guy. And you never do because he's on the Empire side. But they create this incredible reflection. Basically, it's a reflection of Andor, right? Like Andor is this guy who got radicalized into becoming a rebel. And he fought the Empire. While this guy on the other side of the fence gets radicalized into working for the Empire. And it's such a tragic character. And by the end of his storyline, I was literally almost in tears, and I would never expect this character to resonate with me so much when I started the show. So, you know, it's these little things, like even the smallest stuff. Like there's a scene in one of the last episodes where the Empire sends a couple of officials to this control room in an hospital because they need to look at the camera footage to find this person who escaped. And even like the little camera operator guy that's in like literally 1 minute of screen time has so much character. He's like nervous of the Empire being there, but he tries to have a conversation with them, but they're very harsh to him. So it's like, oh, okay, sorry. Like, and like they didn't need that character to have that much personality, but everyone feels so real and realized in this world. It's insane. I have no idea how they did that, how they managed to infuse this show with so much personality and create these cultures that feel real, literally real. Like they made up a language, multiple languages, and they feel like they're real languages. And these characters, I don't know, man, it's incredible. It's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Wow. Yeah, damn. Glowing review. I feel like I have to watch it now.
And like always, it will be like, oh, it's alright. But yeah, Andor, more of this, please, Disney. And stop with the fucking references and Boba Fett going on a spirit quest in the desert.
So is this go into your, say, potential top 10 TV shows you've ever seen?
Oh, it's probably my top 3.
Top 3? Fuck off, really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, man, like, I don't know. I should probably, I would have to rewatch this. But there's an arc in season 1 where Andy Serkis is like a main character.
Yeah.
That because I rewatched season 1 recently in preparation of season 2. And rewatching that, there's this one episode. It's like 50 minutes long. For 50 minutes, I was transported there. I was there. I was so engaged. And I knew what was going to happen. But like, it's one of the best arcs, storylines. It's so well done. I get chills just thinking about it. The speeches that certain characters give in this show, they just want, like, they make me feel like I want to go protesting for something. I don't even know what. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to protest right now, but like, it makes you feel like you need to do stuff. You need to take action. You need to do stuff, because if you don't do that, someone else will take control and do bad things. I don't know. Like, it's a very poignant story, told amazingly with great actors. A few blemishes here and there. Nothing is perfect. Personally, I do not care about these blemishes because everything else is so well done. So maybe other people will disagree with me, but it's pristine storytelling from just like every conceivable aspect, like the way each episode is directed, like certain imagery that they decide to use, and how powerful it is in representing what the story is about. It's insane, man.
Do we get any little like member berry moments, or do they not do anything like that in this? We don't get a mention of a previously established character or something like that.
So, okay, so this is a prequel to a prequel. So all the references in here are mostly about Rogue One, especially at the end of season 2. There's a lot of connective tissue to Rogue One, but because it makes sense, because Rogue One literally is the epilogue of these 2 seasons in a way. So it makes sense to have references and characters pop up that will pop up in Rogue One. But generally, no, they stay away from member berries. They stay away from references. Everything makes sense and everything is very well placed within the Star Wars universe. You know, a lot of the show takes place on Coruscant, which you'll remember is one of the main hubs where the story takes place in the prequels. Even just locations are going to be referenced or shown that are from those movies. Like the Senate, it's a very prevalent place that we visit more than once in Andor. But like, it's never like, oh, do you remember this? It's always in service of the story they're telling. It's always trying to add to it. Never be like, oh, I'm going to show you this because I know that you're going to like it. It never goes into nostalgia just for the sake of it.
Yeah, good. A mature Star Wars show. Wow.
If you believe that such a thing can even exist. This is Star Wars for adults. And I love Star Wars for kids. And that's the beauty of Star Wars, to be honest. Like, that it can be both this and a TV show for kids and a movie for everyone. Like, this is clearly for a specific type of audience. A kid will not enjoy this. There's no lightsabers. There's barely no mention of the Force. It's literally World War II, but in space. And so it's going to appeal to a very specific type of person. And I am that person. And I'm happy to be. So, yeah, it was amazing. It's so good. Okay, go watch it. You will not regret it. And it's just, if you think about it, it's just 24 episodes. It's 2 seasons of 12 episodes each. So it's very manageable. I'm not telling you to, watch.
You're not telling me to catch up on all of Daredevil. Jeez.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'll add it to my watch list, and I think I'll definitely give it a go.
All right. Okay, your turn now.
People are standing up. That's what a reckoning sounds like.